Welcome everyone, thank you for tuning in. This is the MSV podcast. Here we talk about crypto. My name is Sabi, I am your host today. Let's start. Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the MSV podcast. Today we will talk about security because I think that is one of the most neglected, yet one of the most important topics. Tens of millions of dollars are lost in cryptocurrencies every year, whether them being floating in the space or due to hacks and scams. And in order to get some accurate information, I have a professional here with me, the man who created the coldest crypto wallet according to Cointelegraph, Ruben from Ngrave. Hi Ruben, thank you very much for joining me. How are you?
Hi Zabi, good to be here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. I came with a lot of questions. And before we dive in, could you give us a small introduction about you, about the company, about Ngrave?
Sure. About me, I am definitely what you could call a lifelong learner. So I still have my head in the books every single day, I would say. So I try to read probably one, sometimes two books a week, nonfiction. Initially, it was really often about where I was in the stage with the company. I've started to digress a bit. I think this year, what I'm working on right now is quantum mechanics. Very, very interesting, mind-blowingly interesting, actually. And I would definitely say that that's sort of the red thread throughout my life. Just keep on learning. So I studied like civil engineering with a major in business, which is called business engineering in Europe. And from there on, when I started working, I kept doing studies. So I did a postgraduate almost every year next to my job, just because I was interested in getting to learn more and prepare for the future. And I would also say one driving force for me is really making a positive impact on the world. So before I started Ngrave, I had an automated investment platform that made it possible for let's say for the average Joe next door to get the same level of portfolio management as rich on the other side of the street. And so basically make it accessible to the masses. And today, actually, since the last 4 years, I've been working on another big project, which is making sure that everybody actually can securely interact with their digital assets. And the way we call it, it starts truly owning what is theirs. And yeah, that brings me to Ngrave, which is the current company that takes at least 99.9% of all my awake time. And the whole purpose of it is to protect people, is to give them the tools so that they can actually master their wealth and so that they can then live the life they want. So it's basically, in one word, you could say, we just want people to have freedom and be able to focus on the things that make them happy in life. And to be able to do that, you need to be able to be sure that your assets that they're actually safe. And I think if you look into the market today, it becomes again so clear that we have incredible challenges. And yeah, that's why we've been working on this for the last 4 years, to make sure that we can change that for the better.
Yeah, and I think right now, to be honest, the market is down, but we could say that right now we are starting again accumulating. So this is the time when people will probably hold their crypto assets for a longer time, and they will want to store it. They will not maybe check it every day, as in a big rallies, when you check every day your portfolio. Now they just want to accumulate. That is the most important, to have them secure, because not every wallet is as secure as some claim. But I think before we just jump in Ngrave and what offers, let's just briefly talk about the security. I mean, just for our audience, what do you think, where to hold your crypto, which is the least secure?
Yeah, of course. And maybe just to jump in on your point of accumulation phase, well, I hope we are there. I'm not sure yet. I think we still need to bottom out a bit, but nobody knows. I think it's become clear in the last few months that even the big boys don't know where the tops and of the cycle are, or the bottoms. And actually, it's funny because today I said to a friend of mine, like, we have diamond hands, but you have tiny hearts, in the sense of we're not selling, but we're not going to look at how low our portfolios are, right?
Yes. I haven't checked my portfolio for a couple of days, for sure.
A couple of days is still quite courageous, I would say. I know many who haven't watched for months. When it comes to your question on where is the least secure place to store your crypto, I think there are many answers. And I think it's all about how do you keep your or let's say it more simply, crypto and blockchain all falls and stands with one single concept. That's the concept of the private key. So it's purely cryptography, and cryptography can actually be completely brought back to one single item. And obviously, that's the private key, but it all starts from there. Like your public keys, your address is actually calculated from your private key. So in a sense, you can forget your public key, your address. As long as you know the private key, you can always still mathematically derive it from there. So it's just all about how do you actually keep your private keys safe? How do you make them? Where do you keep them? And how do you give them to your next generation, to your children, for example? I think when it comes to how can you keep them not safe, that there are thousands of different answers that are all good.
Yeah.
How can you keep them safe? That's the real difficult question in the room. But yeah, I mean, it really comes down to if you don't keep your private key safe, which could mean like you keep it on your computer, you keep it without a password locked. Even just the idea of keeping it on a computer is insane. If somebody else makes your key for you, you know you're basically set up for failure. And unfortunately, that's how 99% of wallets work today. And even worse is if you outsource the holding and the ownership of those keys to somebody else. So that's typically what you have with crypto exchanges. They give you a password. You can log onto the platform. You have absolutely no crypto yourself. You just have a right to ask them, hey, can I move my crypto around? Well, actually, can I move your crypto around? And it has my name on it for now, but whenever they feel like it, they can change that name to themselves. So keeping your crypto safe is probably the biggest enigma that we haven't solved.
So yeah, I think we can say that first thing to do, like the first step, is to have a private key and a seed phrase. When you have only a password, that means that the crypto is not yours. I mean, you're not holding it. You just, can we say, just renting it maybe, and it can be taken away from you? Or maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. Yeah. So safest is when everything is offline and it's in your hands, or maybe it's in your head when we talk about
So I would say even if you think about that doesn't sound very safe, right? So you need to make sure that you yourself are also not like the single point of failure, because too often we are. If you look at theft, it is very high, but if you look at losses, so how many private keys have actually been lost to this date? If you just look at Bitcoin, there will be 21 million Bitcoin eventually by 2140. Right now, we have about 18 million, more or less, million Bitcoin in the open, and 4 million of those have actually been lost forever. And with lost forever, I mean the private keys have been lost, and
the access to them.
Exactly, and the essence of a private keys, if you don't know it, you can't brute force it. That's why the cryptography is sound, and why nobody can break Bitcoin. So you cannot brute force a key you don't know, which means you would have to try all the different values it could have. You need to try all of them. And there are simply so many values to try that even with a quantum computer, you can't do it, at least not today. So yeah, I think your first point is extremely valid. Keep it offline. That's exactly what we said to ourselves in the very beginning. So we decided to build a solution where we would never, ever compromise on the security of the user. And yeah, the first takeaway we had was the moment you make even the slightest connection to the outside world, you're opening the box of Pandora. You're letting all evil out, in the sense that all these hackers out there can now try to take advantage of that little connection and at least try to attack you. So the first principle of zero is indeed that it is 100% offline. We make your keys offline, we keep them there, we never expose them in any way. And that's where security starts. And that sounds super logical, but today, USB, let's say hardware wallets are typically USB based, meaning there is quite a connection, or it's Bluetooth, again, a connection. NFC, 4G, Wi-Fi are also potential connections. So all of these are basically dangerous, at least in the theoretical sense of the word.
Yeah. So you just mentioned here the approach. I think I just got a glance of your approach, because how you get secure is you eliminate some of the failure modes, let's say, or the failure possibilities, right? So one of the failure mode being the hack, having access to your wallet, and on the other hand, as I just said, you keep it in your hand, but that is also a failure mode, because if you forget it, then your cryptocurrency will end up in a long-term holding, let's say, in the space when no one will have access to it, not even you.
Exactly. And I mean, if you think about it, hardware wallets are obviously very important to make these keys offline and keep them there. But your hardware wallet itself is not really the actual solution that's most important for your private keys, because it allows you to sign transactions and make a key and so on, but you can lose it. And it's all about what are you using for a backup for your keys? If you lose that backup, is it game over? If somebody finds your backup, do they know what your key is? If you spill water on your backup, is it still there? And unfortunately, the answer today of the industry is you write it down on a piece of paper. In, again, 90% of the cases, sometimes there is a bit of metal involved. But again, the backups today are far from the right answer to how do you keep your keys safe and how will you never lose them, regardless of what you do with your hardware wallet.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also have backup on paper, and I put it somewhere very, very, very far from me, somewhere when even if people would find it, I'm not 100% sure they would know what to do with it, because it's somehow a very isolated area and there is not much exposure to crypto. So maybe that is one of the solution. I'm like, it's eliminating another phase there, because obviously anybody who is in crypto knows anything about crypto and finds a 25 or 12 seed phrase, they will probably know what to buy and how to try to recover it. So yeah, it's also where we're keeping it. Before we go more detail about the security, can you tell me how everything started? Ngrave. What was the spark of the idea? And when was it? Obviously, I think it was 2020, right? That's when you started.
We started in 2018,
yes.
In the exactly when Bitcoin did a nosedive from $20,000 to $6,000. So I think today is probably an interesting moment to reflect back on that. It's sort of, we're seeing the same thing happening all over again. So actually, we've been around for 4 years. We've been building this whole solution we have now from scratch, and with the sole purpose of making it the one solution that doesn't compromise on your security. And also, we really found that it needed to be a 21st century solution. So it needed to be a touchscreen device, swiping and tapping your way through your crypto, something simple to use, and something that at least had a bit of a premium feel, so that you actually like using your cold wallet, which I think is important, because if you don't, then you're never going to use it. And that makes, again, your experience more insecure. So ideally, you have something. Ideally, you use your hardware wallet even for your hot transactions, right? And I think we have achieved that. I feel we have achieved that with our Ngrave Zero today as well. So it's sort of temperature agnostic in that it is absolutely the coldest wallet you can think of. But at the same time, the way it interacts with the outer world is through QR codes. One-way QR codes. And yeah, everybody knows how to use those. It's easy, it's fast, it's simple, it's intuitive, and it's secure. And we see that people almost start using it on a daily basis in some cases, because it adds a whole new dimension of peace of mind to your day-to-day security with your crypto.
Yeah, and I have to say here that thinking that you started 4 years ago and you already created a design which was, I think at that time probably was very futuristic, because looking at other cold wallets, as you said, with the touchscreen and let's say the user experience, I think that was a very good job, looking into the future, how things will be and how they will look like. If anybody doesn't know how Ngrave wallet look like, go to ngrave.io and there you will find, I'm saying this to the audience, so you will find there, but also in the description we will put some links.
Yeah, yep. Maybe to come back to your question of where did it all start, I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So we've been crypto investors from before 2017, I think, and we basically all had our own issues with security, with losing keys, with typically the same things that any user has. Obviously they all had their own order of magnitude of loss or theft. And the biggest one was the one of Xavier, so my co-founder and CTO. He's been in crypto since 2012, 2013, actively. Even before then, he was already interested in it. And in 2016, did an ICO on Ethereum. The smart contract on which it was all protected, was written by nobody else than the actual inventor of the coding language of Ethereum, Solidity, Gavin Wood. And unfortunately, everybody always makes mistakes. So there was a mistake in that smart contract that actually became a vulnerability that could be exploited to steal all the funds. And so there were about 500 projects in the world, let's say, keeping all their crypto or their ICO funding there. And Xavier was one of the first, his project was one of the first projects to actually be fully hacked. So from one day till the other, he woke up and 44,000 Ethereum was stolen. That is a mind-boggling amount.
I guess
much bigger than most of us can even imagine. For them, it was all the funds of the full project. Because then again, there weren't many other ways of keeping your crypto safe. Yeah, I mean, in the next 24, 48 hours, say, they actually were able to figure out the vulnerability and drain, so actually do the same attack on all the other projects that were using that same smart contract. And so in that way, they were actually able to save about $200 million in crypto, worth of crypto, by stealing from all these 500 projects and then giving it all back once the vulnerability was solved. The reason why it's so important in our own history is because it started it sort of lit up a light bulb in our heads, really highlighting that security was not even close to being something that even barely existed in the space. Hardware wallets were also a relatively new thing. And so we started questioning ourselves and challenging ourselves, saying, okay, let's say you have to put all your crypto in one place and you're able to sleep at night. Where will you put it? We didn't know the answer to the question. So we decided to build it ourselves. And so at that point in time, it was April 2018, we said, all right, let's build it ourselves. Obviously, this is sort of a extremely big dream you have that you want to accomplish. You're definitely at least a little bit naive in how challenging it will be, because you're combining the worst of the worst worlds, which is hardware, which is hard on its own, crypto, which is extremely volatile. We started in the bear market, right? And maximum security. So combine those three, and you have an extreme challenge. And I think we weathered well through the bear market. Then COVID-19 came, when we had to actually set up the supply chain for this. So we've had our fair share of big mountains to climb. But the reason why we never faltered and never wavered and just kept going was because we all three of us have this deep sense of purpose of actually protecting people. And that's also why we do it differently, I think, than other wallets. Because if you look into the space, everybody's using paper wallets. They don't even bother to make these paper wallets a bit better, and you can make them unshreddable. You can make them water spill proof. Those are very easy things to do. So if you buy the Zero alone, in our case, you actually get such an advanced paper wallet. If you buy the full combination with Zero, the hardware wallet, and Graphene, the backup solution, then you have really the ultimate backup at your disposition. So we really went all out on this. We even got the highest security certification in the world as the only financial product in the world. And that just shows how committed we were and still are and will be to our initial promise of never compromising on your security, making sure that everything is easy to do, and keep building that quality for you as we go.
And that is how you got the Coldest wallet.
Exactly.
Because I'm always thinking about maybe when you create something which is, let's say, it's pioneer, and I understand why everything it started. Hacks nowadays, I mean, we could see in the last month, we had like two. I think these hacks, as bad as they are, they also spark some new ideas, because the space is just so new. We can't have everything figured out already, and I think this is the good side, or maybe the better side of it, and is that, for example, your product. And I was also thinking in the meantime that how you make sure that you stay unique, for example, because your product, looking at the military grade certificate, it's much more advanced, much more secure. And I saw that there is some tampering also included, so it's not like they can just take it apart, and I don't know, just hack it somewhere with hardwares, because we could see on YouTube that happened, or that can be made or could be made to other wallets. So can you talk about that a bit?
You mean like to what extent our device is, let's say, protected against physical tampering?
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, we literally hacked all the wallets out there when we started. We didn't do that alone. We surrounded ourselves with amazing people, true experts in the field. We did we also opened up the bank security solutions, and so on and so on. And that knowledge, together with basically our purpose of making this the ultimate security device, we built the whole thing from scratch, right? So even if you think about the board, every chip decision, every transistor decision was made very purposely. And today I can tell you that we have, let's say, 4 levels of anti-tampering. The first one
is very simple. It's basically called tamper resistance. So, for example, our casing of the device is made out of a special alloy of metal. To drill through it is already a challenge, right? So it's not easy to just get into the device. The second layer is tamper evidence. So basically, if your wallet arrives to you and somebody's tried to take off the screen will have broken. And you will actually see that somebody has tried to do that. The third level, and there it becomes interesting, of course, is tamper responsiveness. So if you attack the device is actually smart enough to realize this, and it will wipe the keys from itself. So that's also why your backup is very important, because if somebody finds your wallet, they take it home, they try to break it open, the device will wipe the keys, and you will still have your backup and be able to import your keys into just a new wallet. And the third level is very special. That's tamper resolution. So that is something I would say additional also to the whole idea of anti-tampering. And that's basically that, let's say if your device arrives to you, it has been hacked. First of all, you still have a sort of tamper responsiveness resolution step there, which basically is we check from our servers if your device has been compromised or not. Because up until today, there are actually quite some events, not with our wallet, but other wallets, where they have been hacked before they arrive to you, right? And then you think you get a key from the device, you start sending money to the Bitcoin account on it, and on the other side, somebody just takes it away. So that's something you want to avoid. So with us, there is a simple step to actually allow you to check if your device is still safe. If it's not safe, we will tell you, and then you shouldn't use it, and contact our support. But even better is when we started making keys, we realized that the keys that exist today are actually not good enough. So we needed to invent a new key. We took our time to do that, and eventually we patented the key that we call the Ngrave perfect key. And one of the particularities of this is that you can actually interact with your key generation, so that even if your device has been hacked, you can actually resolve the hack. You can actually resolve the tampering that they did. So it sounds advanced. It is advanced, but towards the user, it is super simple. You just interact with your key generation process. We do that very controlled. And in the end, you also know that even Ngrave has absolutely no clue what your key can be. And that is, for me, what is crucial, because everything falls and stands with the key generation. If you think about other wallets, they just give you a key. So they might have a database on all the keys they ever made, right? What's even worse is the chips that are made in there to make the keys, they have backdoors. So by third-party intelligence agencies like even the NSA. And you can find it in a simple Google search. So we actually built a whole new key generation process to get rid of all those potential risks that somebody might know what your key is.
Sorry for interrupting here. I was just wondering, would that mean that, for example, when I'm generating my key, I don't have to use like normal English words, for...
So we support everything that is status quo. So if you're like, hey, I've been in crypto 5 years, I love 24-word seed phrases, you can import them. You can create a new one. That's all possible. But we typically highlight that it's better to use our solution because it's more secure. And there you will make the Ngrave perfect key, which is simple. It's simply the 64 hex equivalent of your 24 words. And your 24 words, again, also just represent computer language, right? So they represent 256 zeros and ones, which we call 256-bit. So 64 hex or 24 words, it's the exact same thing. It's just a different way of writing it down, let's say.
And maybe the hackers are not prepared for that, because...
The fact that what we call the private key paradox is, if you do not know my key, you cannot brute force it. So you cannot guess it. You cannot try all the possible values and get to it, because you basically, you just have to try too many different values. But that falls all away if the challenge becomes find my key. If you have to find my key on my computer, that's easy. If you as a hardware wallet manufacturer, you create a key for the user and you keep it in a database, and once in a while you decide to empty one of those, then you as a user have already lost. So for us, it's more about, again, the promise of never compromising your security. So we resolve the possibility that we may have a backdoor. We resolve the possibility that the third parties like the NSA have a backdoor in your key, and also all the other ones in the sense of if somebody tried to hack your wallet before it arrived to you, if you're keeping your 24 words on a computer. So all of those things, we need to make sure that we do that right. The first thing needs to be done right, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I think this really shows how much work you do in this securing the wallet and making sure that it doesn't get hacked. It's also a signal to the users that usually scams are, let's say, the errors are coming from the users, sharing the seed phrase, so on. Yeah. The most important to remember here that just keep it for yourself. Just don't give it to anyone. Hide it somewhere, because the most times, I mean, the majority of the cases is people sharing their seed phrases to scammers, like calling as support. Or I also heard that some of the cold wallets were copied, let's say, manufactured the same exact thing, and sent out to people, that this is a new version and please just import your seed phrase from your older version. And actually it was a scam. So. And that is, I think, very important, for example, with your tampering security level, that it cannot just taken apart, and copied and remanufactured, like the benchmarking is done for many products. Yeah. So I think that's...
Yep. Yeah, I think what's important to mention here is so the anti-tampering doesn't stop with all these physical layers, because you could say in China, in Shenzhen, there are the true hardware experts that can make an iPhone ready by the time the actual same iPhone comes out. But what makes Ngrave also so special, or the Ngrave 0, is we have a whole secure operating system that is EAL7 certified. So there are 7 levels of security in the world, right? 5 is typically where most solutions stop, and this is already referred to as sort of government level security. The best hardware wallet so far is, let's say, level 5. On the level of the chip. The best bank platform is 6, and the best financial solution in the world is actually 0 with EAL7, it's a secure operating system. So everything that the device does, apart from the whole physical part, is every single thing that is security related is covered by the secure operating system. That makes it also orders of magnitude more secure on the whole entire overarching way that the device works than any other thing out there.
Okay, yeah, thanks for explaining the military grade. You mentioned that you started in the bear market. Mm-hmm. How was the traction back then and now? How do you think, and this is not only for Ngrave, let's say, do you think people are more informed and they started to be more interested in securing their cryptocurrency with cold wallets? Do you see an incline in these statistics, or how do you see the market right now and people being more informed, let's say?
Yeah, of course, when we started in 2018, our goal wasn't let's sell this next week. Our goal was to build the best solution we could make. It took us a few years to do that, of course, and even a few years is almost record time. So in terms of traction, you mean traction of ourselves in the early days, or traction of hardware wallets in the industry, or what do you mean exactly?
I was thinking about both. How do you see the traction for Ngrave and hardware wallets in general? I think these two maybe correlate a bit.
Yeah, of course. It's just I just wanted to clarify that we started selling only a few years later. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, we have sold or have sales in 19 different countries. And I think if you look to ourselves and also more in general, it comes to hardware wallets. So there are typically a few things that are important, right? The first one is security even still an issue today? Because if it isn't, why would people need to keep it on hardware wallets? And I think the good data points are when we started, it was a record year of thefts with $2.5 billion stolen. Mm-hmm. Last year, we actually topped $14 billion. This year, if you look at hacks, I mean, even a random bridge hack is maybe $500-600 million. Yeah. So there are many new, like you mentioned, there are many new things coming out. Let's say bridges are also something relatively new. And so the way they work, generally, and that's the unfortunate thing a bit about the industry, is everybody's always thinking with a sort of a growth bias. They say, I want to have more users, more adoption, more revenues, and then I will look at, let's say, the administrative processes at the security layer and so on. So it's not a security first mindset, which is, we're one of the only, or the few at least, that actually have that security first mindset. Everybody else, and that also comes out now, is that it's they just have the wrong incentives, and it's human to do that. If we think about Celsius, for example, or at 3AC, or you name it, what you see is they basically over leverage themselves.
Yep.
And those are not. Yeah, sorry, you wanted to pick in.
No. I just wanted to add that some of these actions now we could see more and more of them, and this is I think this get rich quickly mindset is still very much in crypto, and maybe that drags down some of the institutions, let's say even institutions, the ones which shouldn't even be in that situation.
Yeah, but you're hitting the nail on the head, because that's exactly the point, right? Everybody's coming in for this get rich quick scheme, as you mentioned, and that's also why you barely see any other solutions like the one we have built, because you literally need years to do it. And I would say 4 years in crypto is actually more like 40 years in the normal world, right? So we're basically, by now, we are 3 very old dudes that spent our whole lives, so to say, on building this, while everybody else was getting rich. And again, it comes down to the reason why we are still doing it is because of the purpose driven mindset behind us. And we have a mission that comes from deep inside of us, and that's why we do it and why we keep doing it, regardless of what let's say the markets throw at us. If you think that I had to set up the supply chain from my bedroom, so to say, during COVID-19, it's because we just had the feeling that this is one of the most crucial aspects of the whole industry, but also one of the most challenging to even bother to start fixing,
Yep. No, continue, please.
Maybe to begin on your parts. So when we look at these platforms that are sort of failing, what is happening is you see that the exact thing we and Satoshi, we as an industry and Satoshi were trying to fight against.
Yeah.
Was banks, and basically making bank runs shouldn't be possible. It shouldn't be possible that the bank prevents that, so to say. And now we're seeing the exact same thing with these over leveraged platforms that actually stop the withdrawals and so on. And yes, we see that drives the demand for hardware wallets, and it's logical, right? It's the only place where you can actually own your own crypto. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that if somebody doesn't understand what we are talking about here, about what happened, it's people lost money because they, let's say, lended it to some companies who used that money, other people's money, to trade. Okay, simply said. Something like that. They over-leveraged, and when the market collapsed, then they couldn't pay it back, let's say, the lent out money in very simple way.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, you as a user keep your crypto on a third-party platform that may or may not be hashtagging this by unbank yourself. Yep. And then in the end, when everything comes together, these DeFi platforms are actually CeFi platforms that sort of offer kind of, if you can even call it DeFi, services. And in the end of the day, they also tell you, sorry, your account never existed, or we cannot allow you to withdraw your funds, which is completely against the ethos of crypto, which is why the first thing we say in the Bitcoin paper is peer-to-peer and no third-party intermediaries. So we try to keep as true to the promise of Satoshi as possible by making this actual decentralized ownership a real thing. And that's also why our tagline is start truly owning what is yours, because you need to make these keys, you need to keep these keys, and that's the only way you can actually do that. So if you want to unbank yourself, this is a much more valid solution than any other platform could do. But the reality is, of course, also that people, you have different kinds of people, right? You have people who are on the spectrum the whole way on the left and say, I don't trust anybody. I'm hyper paranoid. I don't even trust Ngrave. So I want them indeed to make a key generation process where I know that they will never know my key. Up to the whole other side where they say, look, I have other things to do. You keep my crypto and that's it. Yeah. So you have like the
let me know when I'm in profit. Keep my crypto and let me know when I'm in profit. So I think it's not safe to say, but the most important message here is that the only crypto which you really have which is on your own wallet. You didn't lend it to anybody, you didn't give it to anybody, no one else is managing that crypto. What you have on your wallet, the backing, the seed phrase, the private key is with yourself, and you know about it. That is the most secure to this time.
With the nuance that, because I really believe in that. Before Ngrave, it wasn't possible to actually start truly owning what is yours, and that just brings me back to these other wallets. They give you a key, right? So they may have knowledge of your key, which basically breaks the condition of being able to start truly owning what is yours, because somebody else will also potentially own it, and even take it from you, and then you don't own it anymore, right? So that's why we say really adamantly, it's start truly owning what is yours.
Yes. I think, to be honest, from what you said during this whole discussion, I think the most amazing for me is that you do have affect the key generation process. It can be made unique, and that there is no chance that it is stored somewhere else. Because yes, as you said, when wallets are coming, when you buy one, it gives you the private key, but who knows where it's been before. I don't want to start and create panic here, but it's just wanting to look at as well. Okay, thank you very much. As we are getting to the last couple of minutes, anything we should look out for Ngrave? Anything coming up on your roadmap? I saw that you are implementing new chains.
Of course. So every few weeks we basically add new coin support. I think the last thing we did in the last update was add full support for NFTs based on ETH. The other chains for NFTs will also follow. So actually, when you go to our website, you can click through to the roadmap and you will see the whole roadmap there. So you will see exactly what we're doing right now, what's going to come next, and so on. And it's quite promising. So one of the next things that we will do is full integration with MetaMask. Why is that important? Because again, today MetaMask gives you keys. And unfortunately, those keys are created online, given to you online, and you also kind of have to get them from that online to maybe on a piece of paper or simply in a file that you can download from MetaMask on your computer, which you don't want to do. So I think there it's really important that we make it finally possible to have a very easy interaction mechanism with MetaMask. So we are actually together with them working on a QR code standard for the entire industry. And so you can now create your keys offline on Zero. You can open the MetaMask interface. You can sign transactions, but your keys remain offline, so nobody can steal from your MetaMask, which is a big problem today.
Yeah.
So MetaMask wins with this because they get better security in terms of the experience. Users win because they can now finally use their favorite hot wallet, if it is MetaMask, and do that with more security. And we all, of course, also win because we actually are able to protect more users, which is our main goal. And also get access to more people and make them security focused. So that's important. I think another thing that's important is we really also focus a lot of education around security in a digestible and fun way. So on our website and our blog, you can find all of these different articles. How do I stay safe in the metaverse? What are the things I might be doing wrong there? How do I use MetaMask safely? And so on and so on. So that's very important because education comes first. And yeah, the more you follow us, the more I hope you will have a better and more secure, life with your crypto alongside you.
Yeah.
And actually in your ownership, of course.
Well said. Yeah, thank you very much, Ruben. Just one final thing I want to touch on is you also have an application for mobile phones. I think that is to monitor your NFTs, your portfolio on your device, so on. I didn't maybe I didn't see it. You can't send actually with your app, can you?
Yeah, of course. So our app, basically, the way you have to see it is you create all the keys offline on zero. Then the public keys, so the addresses or the accounts, you can share them through a QR code on the screen of the zero to your app. And your app will basically, at that point, be able to, let's say, load in all of these accounts. Mm-hmm. It will not have access to any, let's say, private keys. So let's say in the event that the app would be hacked, it doesn't matter because they can only have access rights to what they can see. And everybody has it on the blockchain already. And so all the relevant data in the app is taken from through the APIs through the blockchain. So you can see your history. You can see every single transaction you've ever done. You can see what your money is worth at that point, which is something we all typically want to know. And if you want to receive transactions, you share the keys there. And if you want to sign transactions, there is a simple QR code interaction you can do with the zero offline hardware wallets, and you sign your transactions offline. Your private keys are never exposed. And yeah, so that's sort of the ultimate peace of mind you can have. We think our app is very nice to use. If you have a hot wallet that is your favorite wallet today, it happens to be MetaMask, you can use our wallet soon with MetaMask, maybe soon with some of the other hot wallets. But we do believe that when it comes to our app interface, it will all be, again, about security first. So soon you will also be able to use our own Liquid mobile app as a hot wallet with keys that come from the best place they can come from, and so on and so on. So this is, our app is definitely a crucial part of the whole solution. And what's really cool is that we will be releasing a whole new interface in the next update, I think. I think it will be in the beginning of August. We will release the next sort of jacket or skin of the app, and it's going to be extra sexy. So definitely check that out if you can in the future.
And this goes for the user experience, right? The extra sexiness of the interface.
Yeah. Yes, and also the idea that we do want to give you a premium vibe. We want to give you like the Apple experience, so to say. And you're going to see more and more that's really important for us, to us.
Okay. Well, Ruben, thank you very much for talking us through all Ngrave's, let's say, security and about security itself in the cryptocurrency world. If anybody wants to visit, you will find in the description Ngrave's website and Twitter as well. Thank you very much, Ruben, for being here again. Thank you for accepting the invitation. I think I really enjoyed our chat, and I hope that we do it again sometimes.
Absolute pleasure, and likewise. Enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, thank you. Bye.